Hello everyone, welcome to the Born Spectator YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk about Barcelona as a football club and what exactly is going on there. We all know that Lionel Messi is not going to leave Barcelona at least this season, and we all know what all transpired. Messi sending a burofax to the board, to the club, stating his desire to leave the club, and then the board haggling over the release clause, which should have been or shouldn't have been applicable this season. Questions are there. So this club is still not going in a very good direction, and this has been happening for almost 5 years now. So I'm going to take the recent semi-final between Bayern Munich and FC Barcelona as a reference point, talk about that match a little, and then we'll dive a bit deeper into the problems which I think are the main problems at the club right now. So let's get started. Well, by now, if you are following football even a little bit, you would know the scoreline, and the scoreline says a lot. Barcelona got hammered by Bayern Munich. They lost 8-2, and that's when the Messi saga unfolded. Lots of players under the radar. Luis Suarez's contract got rescinded, or at least he is in the process of getting that money from Barcelona once his move to Juventus is finalized. Now, one thing I noticed that when I saw the lineup of that match, Barcelona were not going to offer any width on the wings whatsoever. On one side, they had Arturo Vidal. Another, they had Sergi Roberto. Both of them are out and out central midfielders. So how can you expect them to provide that pace and width down the flanks? On other hand, we have Bayern Munich, who had searing pace in the form of Ivan Perisic and Serge Gnabry, and they tore Barcelona to shreds. Especially Gnabry, who for me is the club's player of the season, apart from Lewandowski and Müller, and who has come absolute leaps and bounds. He doesn't even look like that player who was at Arsenal and then got loaned off to West Brom, and we all know how he how he did under Tony Pulis over there. But man, my, he is the player to look out for at least 5 to 6 seasons. Now take a look at these stats, and these stats would tell you only one thing: Bayern Munich absolutely dominated them across all the positions on the pitch. You take defense, you take midfield, you take attack. They were everywhere, and they're ferocious and intelligent. And the intelligent term is pretty important here. Otherwise, you can run around like a headless chicken, and you will not get the ball like that. They pressed very intelligently. They looked out for the spaces wherein they can press, get the ball from Barcelona, start the attack. And Barcelona did not have answer to that pressing at all. Instead, they were trying to pass the ball to Messi each and every time, and he was trying to create something out of thin air, mostly stationed on the far right, on the right forward position, and he was just pinging crosses in that penalty box area time and again. But no one was there to just head on to those balls, and that happened for the entirety of the match. Otherwise, Barcelona were not able to create anything from their attackers. Most startling fact is that Ousmane Dembele and Antoine Griezmann, for a combined total of 258 million pounds in transfer fees, were on bench that day. They could have made a difference. Even when Griezmann was called on, he was not able to make the same impact. But what if they were being played from the beginning, and then maybe they would try to do something, maybe something might have come up. But it seems like Barcelona admitted that they were just going to absorb all the pressure, and even that did not work out for them. And we know after the match what happened. PK came out, offered to go for the good of the club, and I feel that he has a very emotional connection to the club, and I can see him being the president of this club one day. Apart from that, of course, uh, Messi demanding to leave, and I'll talk about that later. Now, Let's discuss a few problems which I feel are the main pain points at Barcelona right now. So let's begin. There is one name that's doing the rounds for all the wrong reasons, and that is the president himself, Josep Maria Bartomeu. He took over as the president of this club in January 2014 after the resignation of Sandro Rosell. And initially, the club enjoyed a lot of success under his leadership. They won the La Liga, they won the Champions League amongst all the other trophies, and the MSN, or the Messi Suarez Neymar partnership was for me the most lethal trio, attacking trio in the world football at that point of time, even more so than BBC, Bale, Benzema, Cristiano. And they wreaked havoc, and Barcelona was sound defensively as well. The midfielders were doing their job. Rakitic was phenomenal for a couple of seasons. Sergio Busquets was midfield metronome as usual, and it was all going pretty good. But after that 2014 season, and then 2015-2016 season, things started to go wrong a little bit. And now that the club in such a position that they are losing 8-2 to another European powerhouse, and the club is demanding, the supporters are demanding for Bartomeu's resignation, he could have done the right thing by either calling the elections very early to take place before the start of this season, or offer his resignation to the rest of the board of directors. But he didn't do that. Instead of doing the right thing, he sacked Eric Abidal along with the manager Quique Setien. Now, Eric Abidal had the writing on the wall. He had a very public fallout with Messi in this year's January, and last year's botched attempts to get Neymar back from PSG did not work either. So he was the sacrificial goat in this case, and he was sacrificed as the first go. And then after that, Ramon Planes has got the job, and it's not an easy job for him, not at all, considering all the murky recruitment decisions the club have taken over the years. And that is my next point. Now it all began very hunky-dory when Barcelona got Luis Suarez, Ivan Rakitic, Jeremy Mathieu, amongst all the other players, and they got the UCL, they got the La Liga, and it was working pretty well. But after that season, they started signing players which A, did not make sense, B, made sense, but somehow they could not get the best out of those players. For example, they signed Arda Turan. For me, Arda Turan arrived at Barcelona 2 years late. Had he arrived 2 seasons before, he could have made the same impact he made at Atletico de Madrid, where he made his name as a midfielder. But on top of that, he also was not eligible to play for the next 6 months after he signed for the club. And even when he came on, he did not make the desired impact, and it seemed that he has become a very different version of Arda Turan from what we saw at Atletico. And as a result, he was just getting loaned out to different clubs or not playing at all. After that, Andre Gomes came on, Paco Alcacer came on for 37 million and 34 million respectively. Andre Gomes was voted the worst signing of that season by a lot of Barcelona supporters, and he's now at Everton. Alcacer also did not get much opportunities to play for Barcelona. He was loaned out to Dortmund, where he shined and he scored a lot of goals. He just made a lot of difference, but somehow he could not do that for Barca. After that, again, a lot of questionable decisions regarding transfers, regarding selling players or letting players go. See, it's understandable that they are letting go of the players such as Xavi or Iniesta, who are club legends and their contracts are up, and then they are just looking for a change. They have given so much to this club, so I think they deserved it as well. But you're letting go of Dani Alves, who played pretty well when he joined Juventus. He could have played at least 2 seasons more at Barcelona, and even more so, if you notice the trend, legendary players were going out of the club. Either their contracts getting expired, or such as Alves or Mascherano. So the dressing room was losing influential figures, vocal leaders, who could have made a difference on that pitch, not only with their performances, but with their words as well. And To this date, Barcelona have not found that true vocal leader, the true replacement in terms of leadership. They have not found a replacement for Carlos Puyol, who I thought was the vocal leader of the team. Yes, Samuel Eto'o at that time, Ronaldinho was weaving magic left, right, and center, but and Puyol was the captain of the club. He was such an inspirational leader. At times, he was scoring goals, and he kept shouting during the matches, organizing the players, directing the players to watch out for the opposition players. It was all all so good, and Messi is the captain of the club, but he's not a natural leader. I'll come to this point later. So the club needed an influential figure to keep everyone together, but that has not happened. And then when it comes to buying the players, they got Malcolm, who admittedly played well at Bordeaux in League 1, but to me he was never a Barcelona type player. No surprises, he was sold to Zenit St. Petersburg after an entire season. Only one season he stayed at Barcelona. And then they got Paulinho for 40 odd millions from China. They sold him back to China for the same price, more or less 2 or 3 pounds. They also got Kevin Prince Boateng on loan. Would you believe that? Now, this is a player who has played the best football of his career at the clubs like AC Milan, and then you are getting him at Barcelona. No disrespect to AC Milan, but right now Barcelona is a much better club than Milan. So it just does not add up. Now they are getting players like Coutinho for 145 million, Ousmane Dembele for 138 million, and two of their most expensive signings have not made any difference whatsoever to the club. You take Dembele after a pretty phenomenal season at Dortmund, and he had very good stats, goals, and assists. He just assisted left, right, and center at Dortmund, and rightly so. But and then issues regarding his attitude, him going AWOL, the clubs is looking out for him. It was a very embarrassing situation. You don't expect that from your 138 million signing, whom you're trying to make cornerstone on one of the wings, and you are considering that player to be your player for the next 6 to 7 seasons or the next decade maybe. But we all see how that turned out, and he was on the bench for the Bayern Munich game, so it says a lot. So we have talked about the board, we have talked about the recruitment decisions, and right now, yes, they are going through sort of a culling as far as the first team is concerned, but they have not brought any player of any note until this point of time, and it remains to see who are they trying to get. Now, Ronald Koeman has his own plans, and we are hearing talks of Jorginho Wijnaldum coming to Barcelona. He has only an year left on his contract at Liverpool, so he might be a good fit. He is a pretty versatile player. He can play at defensive midfield position. He can play at central midfield position. He can even play as a cam. But we have a lot of attacking midfielders at Barcelona. So midfield, central midfield or defensive midfield seems to be a good position for him. And he can be a good fit. He's a pretty good athlete. He has not missed many matches due to the injuries. So yeah, he's going to be a good fit, and let's see who else they're trying to get. Barcelona's managerial situation is not any better as compared to the other problems. Ernesto Valverde was hired in place of Luis Enrique to take the club even greater heights, to win the Champions League, because they were already winning La Liga. So I think when you are winning so many league titles in succession, so the Champions League becomes the priority for you. And unfortunately, he was not able to do that. Roma happened. Liverpool happened. They did not manage to reach to the finals even once, and it was just too much for him to be able to stay at the club. Although I feel that the club sacked him at the wrong time, he could have stayed the entire season. But we already talked about Bartomeu and his stupid decisions. And who did the club appoint? Quique Setien. Now, I feel that he did not have the charisma or the ability to manage as big club as Barcelona, such a huge club, You need to have a certain amount of command and control to manage the egos of such huge players such as Messi and Suarez, Rakitic, and so on. But he did not have that. And there were also a lot of reports that Messi was unhappy with this appointment. A lot of players were in tune with his feelings. And we all saw what happened during the second half of this season. Barcelona were 2 points away from Real Madrid when the play resumed after the winter break, and they were just bad after the winter break. I did not see the Barcelona of old at all, although we haven't seen that in a few seasons now. But man, what a drop off! Even though Real Madrid did not score as much goals as they have scored in the last few seasons, Barcelona was just pathetic. They were dire. And he was not just the right choice. No surprises. Along with Eric Abidal, he was also the one who got sacked, and now club have appointed Ronald Koeman, who to this date is a very popular figure with the club supporters. He was the part of the team who were the one to bring the first Champions League trophy to the club in 1992, and he has a very emotional attachment with the club. In the past, he has said that he would love to manage the club. Now that he has resigned from the position of manager of the Netherlands national team, he has taken over the club and he has his own plans, like I mentioned in my point regarding recruitment. But it's a pretty laughable situation. Why am I saying that? See, next year the club's elections are going to take place, and Bartomeu is almost certain to go. I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't lose the next year's elections. And Victor Font is a pretty popular figure as far as the presidential post is concerned. He is the front runner to win the presidential elections, and he has stated publicly that he doesn't fancy Koeman in his plans, and he's just trying to get Xavi as the manager of the club as soon as he wins the elections. So you have appointed Ronald Koeman as your manager. He is running the rule over the club right now, telling the players to go, to leave the club, telling Messi that his days of freedom are over. But on the other hand, he is not even 100% guaranteed to continue beyond his first season, even though if he delivers the results, I feel that Font is hell bent on appointing Xavi as the manager. What would you do then? And I still don't understand why is he going after Xavi so much. Yes, Xavi is a club legend, no doubt about that. But has he got that managerial capacity, managerial ability to manage the club, to kind of rebuild from the ashes? I don't think so. But then again, it would be his decision once he wins the elections, if he wins the elections. There are other candidates as well. You have Joan Laporta, who was the president previously. He has an excellent relationship with Messi, so it remains to be seen if he wins the elections. So let's see how it goes. But right now, I'm excited what Koeman would bring to the table, what plans he has for the club, just to rebuild and just repair all the damage that was done in the aftermath of that 8-2 defeat. Now that we have talked about board, the recruitment decisions, the manager, now let's talk about the on-pitch issues. And the first on-pitch issue which I feel is vocal leadership. And I'll give you an example. For example, Liverpool, during the age of Gerrard and Carragher, Gerrard was the club captain and he was doing all the things from tackling to scoring, but he was not the vocal leader. Who the vocal leader was? Jamie Carragher. He was the one who used to shout at the players when they were making mistakes. He was the one who used to say things to the players. Just gather everyone around in the dressing room. Say to the players, lads, we have done this. We can do even better. Lads, this is not good enough. We need to do better. So Barcelona are in dire need of that vocal leader. And looking at the first team, they don't have anything of that sorts right now. You are terminating the contracts of the players. Rakitic has gone. Suarez is almost gone, and he is almost going to join Juventus. I think the contract has been finalized. It's just that he's waiting for the case to be settled with Barcelona, wherein he is demanding around 22 million pounds as the fee after his contract was rescinded. So there is a lot of mess regarding that. And I'm sure that the next example I'm going to give my Indian viewers or whosoever follows cricket as a sport would understand. Like Messi, Sachin Tendulkar is also one of the best players ever to play the game of cricket. But is he a natural leader? Is he a captaincy material? Can we say the same about his captaincy as we drool over his batting skills? Unfortunately, no. And I'm not the only one saying that. Sachin has admitted himself. Back in 1999, when Sachin Tendulkar was the captain of the Indian cricket team, they went to Australia to play a three test match series and they lost all the matches. And it was pretty clear that Sachin was not able to play with that swagger which he usually had, and the burden of captaincy was weighing him down. He realized that and he respectfully left the role of the captain and he never volunteered to be the captain again. So he realized that himself. If Messi is not realizing, someone needs to sit down with him. Maybe the manager, maybe someone has, maybe a player, maybe one of his colleagues, such as PK. Sit down with him, talk to him. That mate, you don't have to do everything for us. You're doing enough from a creative standpoint. That's good, but let's give the mantle of captaincy to someone who can just gather everyone, rally the troops, boost the morale, and just increase the energy of the players by saying a few choice words at certain points of time in the match. So I feel that, like Sachin, Messi is also feeling the burden of being the captain of the club. He has a very emotional attachment, like I mentioned, and he feels that if he is not performing to his best, then he feels very dejected. And him looking at the floor and Ter Stegen standing by the door during the halftime of that semi-final, during the 8-2 defeat, it was not a pretty sight. So the club needs to take the captaincy away from Messi and give to another senior player for now, till they find someone who can be an influential figure in the dressing room from a vocal standpoint. The second on pitch issue, and it is related to not playing your best players or your club record signings in the positions A they have never played in, and they are just being played in the attacking lineup without any effect, or B, they have played but they are not still being played in their best position. For example, Coutinho at Liverpool was at his best when he was playing in that inside left channel. He drifted to the left wing at times, but not that much. But he remained in that area wherein he would take the ball from the center, and then from the center he would drive against the position players, dribble here, dribble there, and then launch everything from the center of the pitch, cutting from the left, striking a shot in the top corner. But at Barcelona, he was more or less confined to the left wings. He is not a winger. Neither he has the searing pace of a winger nor the strength to hold off the opposition players on the wing. But he was still played there. You don't shoehorn your best players, your club record signings into the positions they are not able to give their best in. That's the most obvious thing to do. Coutinho, you take Griezmann. Again, I feel that Griezmann could have arrived 1 or 2 years ago and he would have made far more impact than he was able to make this season. But okay, he still arrived for 109 million pounds. But you are still confining him to the right forward position. You are not letting him drift from the right forward position to the inside channel, going to the center of the pitch, wreaking havoc from there. Why is that? Because unfortunately, Messi is the one who is occupying that space, and it's not his fault. It's the manager fault, who is not able to figure out things, how to incorporate all of these brilliant attacking players into one single lineup. Griezmann and Coutinho both are most effective when they are given the freedom of exploiting the space in front of them, when they are drifting inside from the wing positions, or let's say that from Coutinho for left attacking midfield position and Griezmann from either the right attacking midfield or the center forward, or the space between the forward and cam. So you can say a false nine. But both of them were confined to the wing areas, and whenever they have drifted into the central areas, they have been able to make the desired impact. They have been able to play those dangerous through balls. They have been able to score those goals. So it's up to Ronald Koeman now to figure out that positional conundrum and just resolve this problem once and for all. Even if that means sitting down with Messi and talking to him that, okay, you can use the space as freely as you were using till now, but let's interchange the space as well. Right now, I don't see that interchange of space happening very often. That was pretty visible during the days of MSN, wherein Messi from the right and Neymar from the left were interchanging the space, and Suarez was playing at the center forward position, and they were changing the positions so well that opposition defenses were not able to figure out how to stop them. You mark Messi, but you have got Neymar and Suarez. You mark Neymar, you have got Suarez and Messi. The same is not happening right now. Suarez is playing as a center forward, and I guess his days at the top are over. He was a pretty phenomenal player during his stay at Liverpool and even the starting few seasons at Barcelona. But then Messi is not able to interchange that space with all of the other attacking players. So maybe if Koeman can figure that out, and if we see more interchange of that attacking space, of that central attacking midfield area, and then the space between the center forward and the cam position, then I believe we would be able to see a more fluid Barcelona as compared to what we have seen in recent seasons. So those were my views, my opinion on what exactly is wrong at Barcelona as a club, and uh, what are the major pain points. Let me know what do you think about this situation, how you think can the club rectify these problems. Also, let me know if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you do. Subscribe to my channel. Lots more content coming up like this, lots more football videos. We'll also talk about the Premier League and the upcoming season, Serie A, Bundesliga. I'll cover all the major leagues in my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time.